This video clip is going to demonstrate how you read the results of your Enterotube. Here is a tube that has not been inoculated, and you can compare that to our tube that we got out of the incubator. It incubated for 24 hours as directed, and you can see that some of the media have changed color. So in order to interpret this, to identify our unknown, we're going to use a results pad, and it shows the top here shows an uninoculated negative result, and the bottom shows a positive result. So all we're going to do is compare our tube to this results pad. If you look at the first one, the glucose compartment, you can see that the uninoculated is negative. It's a red color, and the positive result would be a yellow, and ours did turn yellow. So any positive result you're going to take on this blue side of the results pad, you're going to go ahead and just below the glucose, we're going to circle the number. Okay? Now for the gas test, if you look on the results pad, it shows if gas was produced, then there'll be a separation between the wax and the media. So you could turn this over and look at the other side and see if there's a separation. And ours does show a separation there. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's a separation. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the number under gas. Next test is lysine. So that's the negative, and purple is positive. Ours is purple, so I'm going to circle that number. Ornithine, purple is positive. Ours remained yellow, so we will not circle the number under ornithine. For the hydrogen sulfide indole test compartment, if it's black or any part of it is black, you will consider that a positive. Ours, there's no black in it, so we're not going to call that positive. I'm going to leave that uncircled. Now the indole test is something we do. We have to add a reagent to it, and we do that at the very end. So we're just going to hold off on the interpreting the indole reaction. For adonitol, ours is identical to the uninoculated, so that's negative. For the lactose test, we do have a positive result on that one, turned yellow. For the arabinose, we have a positive arabinose test. Sorbitol on this one is positive as well. The next compartment is for the Volks-Proxauer test, and we have to add some reagents to that as well. So we're going to hold off on that one for a minute. For the dulcitol phenylalanine, ours remain that green, so we have a negative dulcitol test. And if there's phenylalanine, there will also be kind of a blue, or excuse me, not a blue, but a brown precipitate formed in there, and I don't see that, so that would be negative for phenylalanine. For the urea test, it turns a nice beautiful pink, and ours is negative on that one. And for citrate, just like our Simmons citrate tubes that we used before, it turns a beautiful blue color if it's citrate positive, and ours did not, so that's a negative test. Now the next part of this, after you get all of those initial results down on your results pad, you're going to go ahead and add the reagents for the indole test and for the Volks-Proxauer test. In order to do that, we have to burn a hole in this plastic covering here in the two chambers for those tests. So the indole test is this one here, and the VP test is this one over here. So those are the two chambers I'm going to burn a hole in, and I'm just going to heat up my inoculating loop. This does not have to be sterile, because we are no longer going to incubate our Enterotubes or anything. We're just going to use it to break through this covering on each one. So if you just heat it, it just melts right through the plastic. And the VP in there. Okay, so there's that. We're ready to add the reagent. The first reagent we're going to add to the indole compartment right there. It is called Kovacs reagent, but I believe you have a little vial that just says indole on it for the indole test. You take this vial, or you just squeeze it, and it will crush there's an inner vial inside here. You just squeeze it and it will crush that, and then you're able to put a couple drops in the compartment 2. Then you can take this and you can let another group at your benchtop use this. Actually, 2 or 3 groups could probably use it, and I would encourage you to do that to conserve materials. And then once this is completely empty, we can go ahead and just put it in the container where the pipettes go. Now, this may be hard to see from on the camera. I don't know if it even focuses close up, but there is a little bit of red-pink forming inside that compartment. So that is a positive endol test. There's just a tiny bit, there's a little bit on the plastic. So we're going to call that positive, and we're going to circle on the results pad the endol number, which is number 1. Okay, then the VP test is in this compartment here. It says VP. This one has 2 reagents, Voges Proxauer A and Voges Proxauer B. So it's the same thing. We're going to crush it and then add a couple drops of A, and then add a couple drops of B. Get them to come out. And this one can take up to 20 minutes to react. So just leave it on your benchtop and note the time and check back in 20 minutes. We are going to just assume that this is a negative test for this particular organism. So if it is a negative, we will not circle the VP number. So when you get all of those complete, take your results pad and you will just add those numbers up. So 4, 2, and 1 is 7. Then our next digit is going to be 1. Then we have a 3, a 4, and a 0. And that's our code that we will look up in the code manual. And it's that simple.